Vinny Politan. We begin this hour with some breaking news related to the death of comedian Bob Saget. We've just gotten word now on the cause of death, according to the medical examiner down in Orange County, Florida. You will recall 65-year-old Bob Saget died in his hotel room at the Ritz-Carlton. He was performing on the road, doing stand-up comedy again. And here is the statement that has been released by the family of Bob Saget. The authorities have determined that Bob passed from head trauma. The Saget family said they have concluded that he accidentally hit the back of his head on something, thought nothing of it, and went to sleep. No drugs or alcohol were involved. So there is the findings from the medical examiner, and I have a few questions about this. I'm not questioning it. I'm just trying to figure out how we get to these conclusions, that head trauma to the back of the head, how you can determine that it's an accident, and how you can determine that there's no foul play involved in all this. So let's bring in our special guests and our investigators. Joining us tonight from Jacksonville, Alabama, professor of forensics at Jacksonville State University, forensic media analyst and former senior investigator for the Fulton County Medical Examiner's Office, Joseph Scott Morgan is with us. In San Diego, California, retired director of the San Diego Police Department Crime Lab, Jennifer Shen. And in New York, former New York City Assistant Commissioner, former NYPD Sergeant Special Assignment, Dr. Keith Taylor. Great to see everyone. Joseph Scott Morgan, let me start with you. Unpack this for us a little bit on how you can, the medical examiner and the medical examiner's office can come to this conclusion that it was head trauma, that he hit the back of his head accidentally, and that it was an accident, that there's no foul play here. What are your thoughts tonight, Joseph?
Well, good to be with you tonight, Ben. Yeah, and these are important questions, and the reason this has taken so long for them to come forth with this final cause of death is they were waiting on tox, and we know that his tox screen apparently has come back clean. Remember, they said no drugs or alcohol were found. My suspicion is, and having gone out on thousands of death scenes over the course of my career, that night when they witnessed him, or that day at the scene when he was found unresponsive, they would have seen evidence of this at that point in time. They took their time with this just to make sure that this head strike that he sustained was, fell within the parameters of something that might be accidental, but they wanted to try to rule out homicide. Remember, we view every death as a homicide until proven otherwise. So there were probably no signs of forced entry or struggle. What's interesting is I'm kind of curious if this was a pattern injury. And when I say pattern, I'm talking about blunt force trauma. It's a lacerated area, perhaps, or a large contusion on the back of his head. Were they able to marry it up with any, say, nightstand or table or something like this that would have led them to this conclusion? And many times what you'll see is on that contact surface, you'll see blood. You'll also see hair that'll transfer at that moment in time. Now, I don't know how the family comes up with the conclusion that he didn't think anything of it and went to bed. I think that's kind of a leap, to say that. But, from my perspective... Let me
ask you about that. Yeah. From your experience, and sometimes it's difficult to figure out exactly how this all goes on, but is it plausible, or is it possible, and I guess it is, that you could hit your head on something and not feel like you need to do anything about it, go to sleep and not wake up?
Yeah, you kind of see yourself as Teflon many times. And, and the thing that's disturbing about this case is the fact that they're saying that it's posterior. And it's not necessarily atypical, but generally when you fall forward. But, just this past week, we witnessed the stand-up comedian. Remember, she passed out at the podium and she went over like a ton of bricks backwards and struck her head. So it's not outside the realm of possibility that it could in fact happen that way. But
you could slip and fall.
It's not something you would normally see.
And it's possible perhaps he could have slipped in the bathroom, banged his head a little bit, and then still got ready for bed and said, it's not too bad. I just got to lay down for a minute.
Maybe rolled out of bed, struck his head on the nightstand. Who knows? Because they haven't released anything else relative to this. So at this point, it's just kind of speculative. But the fact that he does have indwelling trauma is interesting. And I think that this was probably a slow bleed. You have moments that are called syncope, where you have a drop in blood pressure, and sometimes you get lightheaded and pass out, lose consciousness just for a moment, and you can strike your head. You don't have the ability to catch yourself. But who knows, under these circumstances. But what we do know is that they are calling this specifically, the ME is ruling this as an accident. They are not saying homicide here. And, and earlier I think that we had speculated that possibly it was some kind of natural event, but they're specifically calling it accident.
Yeah, not a natural death. Jennifer Shen, this is a scene. It's not a crime scene. It's a death scene. Your thoughts about what about this scene would lead investigators to say zero foul play here?
I think Joseph covered it, but basically, as he said, you're treating every single scene you go to as a potential homicide, and you're looking for any signs of foul play, any signs that someone broke in. If you fall and hit your head hard enough and are concussed, sleeping right afterwards, going to sleep right after, can be very, very dangerous. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that someone will hit their head hard enough to be very uncomfortable, be concussed, go to sleep, and then have a significant medical trauma from that. So I'm sure that they were able to sort of recreate what happened here by looking at where he was, any kind of trace evidence or transfer of anything from where he might have hit his head, and definitely looking for anything that looked like it could cause the type of wound he had. So it's just it's a puzzle, and it's just very sad.
Oh, extremely sad. Dr. Kitten, let me ask you about this. The relationship between the investigators who are going in and the medical examiner, and the opinions that you're getting, and speaking with the crime scene folks who are taking a look at everything. How is all that coordination, and how is it? Is it a consensus? Who's making those decisions about? All right, I'm convinced that this is what really happened here.
Well, I think they're going to be led by the facts and the evidence. So they're not, going to jump to conclusions where a death has occurred. They're going to look at the surroundings. They're going to document very carefully all of the surroundings, anything that could plausibly be involved with his death. They're going to very carefully check not just the surroundings, but the individuals who may have been there or been involved in some way with him prior to his death. So they're going to be doing a lot of work. The investigators are going to be doing a lot of work looking at the getting together the totality of the circumstances, in addition to what the forensic evidence is going to tell.
All right, this is breaking news, so if there's folks just joining us, I just want to reiterate and put it up on the screen one more time if we can, what the family has said about the death of Bob Saget, because the medical examiner has spoken. They say the authorities have determined that Bob passed from head trauma. They have concluded that he accidentally hit the back of his head on something, thought nothing of it, and went to sleep. No drugs or alcohol were involved. Joseph Scott Morgan, let me ask you, a story like this, because he's so high profile, loved by millions and millions of fans for so many years, will absolutely be missed. And I know the family is very appreciative of all the notes and things they've received from fans around the world. But is there a lesson in this for us? If we bang our head and we're by ourselves, to pause for a moment and maybe seek treatment, seek something? Because the way this is described to me is kind of scary. Because I bang my head a lot. I bang into this, bang into that, and I don't really think much of it. And what I'm hearing here is Bob Saget hits his head, but he's alone. And that's what makes this a little bit different, alone in that hotel room.
Yeah, you have to have some level of situational awareness, but let's face it. I mean, we as men, we think that we're 10 foot tall and bulletproof many times, and you start to get up in age, which all of us can. I can't speak for everybody else. You start to get up in age, and you still think that you're 30 years old, and that's just not the case. And so, to Jen's point earlier, and this is salient here, these slow bleeds like this, if this impacted him to the point, we have to keep in mind that the vessels in the brain are very, very fragile. And if you have sufficient amount of force in that strike, it can lead to a very slow bleed. And in the night, people will pass away in their sleep, and they go first into a deep coma. And inside the skull, the brain begins to swell, and it has nowhere to go. I mean, because it is a formed, fixed structure. And so this begins to shut the brain down. It essentially strangulates, the brain does. And so, yeah, it's very dangerous. You have to have complete and total awareness. And one more thing, and I'll be quiet. Going back to what the family said, I really wonder, because they specifically said that he thought nothing of it. I wonder if he had a phone call. I mean, when I'm out of town, I don't know about you guys, when I'm out of town, I call my family before I go to bed, all right? Talk to my wife all the time. I'm wondering if he hadn't called the family prior to that and said, yeah, I bumped my head. I'm going to go ahead and go to bed. And thinking about that, I'm really wondering if that's what happened. We don't know that, and that's a personal matter, obviously, but it's something to certainly consider here.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to leave you with another statement made by the family. They say, as we continue to mourn together, we ask everyone to remember the love and laughter that Bob brought to this world and the lessons he taught us all, to be kind to everyone, to let people you love know you love them, and to face difficult times with hugs and laughter. All right, our guests are staying with us. We've got a lot more to get to, but our thoughts tonight again with Bob Saget's family. We'll be right back.